recorded. This is the Red Ticket Blues podcast. I am Brian Buckley. This is being recorded on February 8th to hit the internets on February 9th. How is everybody doing the day after the Super Bowl? How you doing? You can always listen to the show on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at BrianBuck13 and at Red Ticket Blues. So today I have Mr. Mark Baldwin on, and we're just going to go over a bunch of stuff. So let's go talk to Mark right now. So yeah, here is Mark. I promised you Mark, and here's Mark. So Mark, how's everything going?
Good, Brian. How are you?
Very good. So here we are, the day after the Super Bowl, the big game. Sorry, did I say Super Bowl? The big game.
Oh, you better stop that. You're going to get fined. You're going to get sued.
I think that's lawyers. They're knocking on my door. Denver, of course, the victors, 24-10. It was the final score. A game dominated by. Listen, if you like punts and third downs that don't convert and 2-yard runs that go nowhere, I mean, this was the game for you. I hope you recorded this because this is the game that's going to get you through the summer to next NFL season. Did you love all of the punts? How about the punts?
Oh, well, just an enormous amount of punts. I mean, between the two teams, the Panthers went 3 for 15 on third downs, and the Broncos went 1 for 14 on third downs, and they still won the game. So, yeah, that's just something that you don't expect. You didn't expect it. I mean, you saw two good defenses, but the defenses won the game, and it was really amazing because in this league where they are trying to build it towards the offense, and then two defenses came in and dominated the game, and It was boring as heck.
It was in Denver. You've heard a million takes. If you had shown this offensive stats of Denver to someone and said, this is what they got, you would have never in your wildest dreams thought that the Broncos were the ones that won this game. I think it was 193 yards of total offense. Is that correct? I believe that's correct.
That's less than 200, yeah.
That is correct. I can confirm that's correct. Peyton Manning played
194. You were off by one. I'm sorry.
All right. So thanks a lot, everybody. Peyton Manning looked terrible, and Cam Newton didn't look that much better. And Cam Newton is a huge part of the story, not even just for the press conference after the game, and not even for staring at the ball, motioning toward it, and then moving away after he had fumbled, but the fact that he was under pressure all day from the Denver defense that just kicked his ass like he'd never had his ass kicked before.
Oh yeah, and it was like, all week for 2 weeks, we heard about Cam can run between the tackles. Where was he running? He didn't run anywhere.
Barely ran. They did that one play. I think he run once and actually got some yardage, but that was it. Or maybe that was just an option where he actually flicked it to somebody else. Maybe I'm thinking to Stewart or Fozzie Whitaker or Tolbert, one of them.
There really wasn't much running, and I think they really took the game out of their MVP's hands. I mean, the guy's the MVP. As we know, he was out on the field with his elaborate outfit before the game, and that's fine. It's like, people make a big deal about that, but he went out there, he did his thing. But they took their game plan did not focus on their strength, and their strength was Cam Newton. And it felt like they took the game away from him. Like he should have been running more. He should have been doing things, especially later in the game when what they were trying was not working, and it didn't feel like they made any adjustments, which just it's unfortunate for them. But I didn't have a horse in the game, so it didn't really bother me one way or the other.
Well, the Broncos were the horses, just for the record. On Pardon the Interruption, you like that one? You like that one, huh?
Yeah, good job.
I was up all night on that one.
I bet.
Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon, they were saying on Pardon the Interruption before, I completely lost my train of thought. I forgot what they were talking about. That they made there were no adjustments. There were no adjustments from the NFC Championship game whatsoever. They just went out there with the same plays, the same play calling mentality, everything. There was nothing new that they worked on, and it showed. I mean, Denver was ready for it. Von Miller and the rest of the defense there. They got Cam tight, man, because once he started feeling that pressure, you could tell he was not right for the rest of the game. It was very much like Brady in the AFC Championship. The Broncos set the tone, and then after that, he couldn't do anything. So Cam looked tight, and he got sacked. He got blindsided on some plays. He was just going down everywhere. The strip sack for the touchdown. And then in the fourth quarter, I mean, I don't mean to jump around too much in this game, but there was a lot of boring action. A lot of shitty commercials too, by the way. There was one that sticks out to me. The baby dog.
Oh no, the baby monkey squirrel thing.
Yeah, and he danced, and then we all want Mountain Dew.
That thing was creepy as hell. I sent out a tweet, or like, that was just dumb. Yeah. It was just like, oh, we're just gonna try to get something that people will talk about on social media. That's just like, even for better or for worse, like whether it's negative or positive. Yeah, that was a dumb commercial. I think the commercial angle, it's gotten to the point where people are just trying way too freaking hard.
I know.
It's just ridiculous at this point. And yeah, I mean, I you're having people over, you're doing your thing, you're watching the game. It's you kind of go in and out of the commercials. To me, the commercials, it's like, oh, it's a commercial break. Like, let me, I'm going to the bathroom or grabbing a beer. I'm not going to sit there and watch that garbage. So it is what it is.
But you better be there, because the CBS or whoever is doing the game, they don't give you one split second right before they go back to gameplay. They milk every millisecond of that for those god awful commercials. But what I was saying was, Cam Newton, here in the fourth quarter, when he fumbles that ball, he has to jump on it. You heard Francesa say it today. You want to be Superman. You acted like Lois Lane. You looked at that ball and he recoiled. It's not like he just stood there like Plaxico Burress, after a defender intercepts an Eli pass and just stands there. No, he saw the ball there and then went for it and said, nah, I don't think so. And it makes no sense, too, because this is a guy who gets his ass kicked on a weekly basis and didn't want to go in there in the freaking Super Bowl to recover his own fumble. I was shocked when that happened.
Oh, I mean, and watching it again today, like, I must have watched that play again like 10 times, and it just didn't make any sense. I mean, and you kind of have to think that the whole concussion scenario like has something to do with it, like where people were like worried about like what happens when you get hit. Like, you saw the one Carolina guy. I don't know who it was.
Super Bowl, though.
No, all right. So
he's going to get hurt. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying it's going to feel good, because it's going to hurt.
Well, if you look at the close up view of it, his teammate comes in and he's coming like 40 miles an hour, just like straight at it, like 3 seconds later. So who knows? He may have seen that, but
possibly.
You know what? You go for it. He had probably a better, the best shot on the field to get that ball. He was right there, and that's a tough spot. It doesn't look good, and I'm sure that contributed a lot to his post game being very, the way he acted the post game. He must have felt that, and he must have thought back on that himself, that, hey, maybe I screwed up, so there's part of that there.
2 minutes and 59 seconds in Cam Newton's press conference where he barely answered a question, hood over his head, and eventually got up. Now, if you've listened to the podcast before,
what a thug though, with the hood over his head.
It wasn't a good look, man.
I'm just kidding.
No, it was not a good look. I don't care if people want to say the word thug or put racial undertones around it. He looked like an asshole, is what he looked like. He looked like a guy who looked like a baby, a guy who loves the limelight. I wrote about this, that he got into a little bit of the Nick Swisher rabbit hole where I love the limelight. I love it, bro. But when it's not going good, man, I'm sensitive, man. Just come on, just back off, man. It's not like that.
I did read the Nick Swisher stuff, and it's a good analogy, because it's like,
not exactly the same, because Swisher was more upset with the fans because they turned on him, so to speak, for him. But Newton, just you got to think, man. What? And Francesa again said it. You want to dish it out, you got to be able to take it. He's a showboat. He's not the first showboater. He's not the last showboater. But if you lose, you have to put on a good face. No one likes answering questions after losing the Super Bowl. 49 other quarterbacks have done it, and I don't think any of them look that bad.
Well, I think it might be more than 49. But no, I'm just kidding. But
Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's but no, seriously, you're right. If you're going to take the spotlight, if you're going to accept the job on Broadway to like lead in a play or lead in a musical, and then you're going to take and then people are going to criticize you. You set yourself up for that, and he set himself up for that more than anyone else, because he immediately, the first day, like what, Monday or Tuesday, a week or 2 weeks ago, he started the narrative of like, nobody's ever seen anybody like me and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, you wanna set that up, that's great, but you freaking better damn well be ready to take the negative part of what comes with that. And he obviously was not ready for that, because
No.
and I did hear earlier that they said that he was set up right near one of the Broncos players, and that he overheard one of the Broncos players talking about him. They wanted to take away his passing part.
I will say, in Cam Newton's defense, and this is the only defense for him that I have, what the hell was that setup at the end of the Super? That's how you do press conferences? There's like 9 million different noises going on, different interviews going on at the same time. None of the questions to Cam Newton were actually like on a mic. They were just being yelled out. Like, what kind of process was this?
I got my iPhone here. Can you answer this question?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, what the
literally,
hell?
I mean, he was sulking and he had a bad attitude and he was just pissed off. But at the same time, he was being asked like 2 or 3 different questions at the same time. And of course, everyone, he said, no, they didn't do anything good, mumbling crap. But what kind of setup is that? When I watch the NBA playoffs, the NBA finals, it is a podium. I realize there's less players, but it is an organized place. Or even baseball, there's a microphone being handed around. That was just a free-for-all of bullshit. I can't believe that.
And that's the problem with the media now. It's like they're trying to. Content is king, as they say. Okay, but they're trying to get as much content as possible in such a short period of time. But are you sacrificing the quality of the content by just sticking a microphone in everyone's face? It's like, oh, let's see what the placeholder said for the Panthers about what happened on the field goal. It's like, no, like just stop. Just like, let's calm down. Like, Cam Newton should have had a spot, and I'm going to give him credit here, like more dignified, of the regular season MVP who was the quarterback in the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost, but give him something a little bit better than that setup.
I agree. But like you said, on a different note, you mentioned there's lots of Cam defenders, these Cam truthers, who think that what he did. Well, he was upset. He should have acted like that. And then you hear former players saying, "I'm glad he did that." Who said it? It was Trent Dilfer and
sorry.
No, I think Deion Sanders ripped him. It was Dilfer and who Chris Carter. I'm glad he got up and said,
2 people I could care less about.
Exactly, 2 idiots who have really, Trent Dilfer is really fallen in line with the ESPN way of thinking. By the way. But they said, you know what? I'm really glad he got up, because he could have said something that was really bad, and it's better he sacrificed that. No, he just looked like a horse's ass on the biggest stage you could possibly freaking imagine. Now, if he doesn't get back to the Super Bowl, he will never live that moment down. Never.
Oh no, that's it. That's the defining moment of his career. But I was talking to it was really funny. I was leaving work today, and I work in a white collar environment, but we have blue collar people around us. And and my favorite people at my job are the blue collar people. Right. So I'm walking out, and we were talking about the Super Bowl. I happened upon this guy, Bob, that I work with. And we were talking about the Super Bowl, and it was boring, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, basically, if Cam's head ever catches up to his physical skill, he's unstoppable, and it would be insane. And so, the guy, if he could get mentally in check and even close to the level of what his physicality is, he'd be unstoppable. It's just unbelievable. But he's got to do that.
Yeah. So the game ended with that, and Talib from the Broncos slipping and falling at the end after he committed one egregious penalty where he almost ripped the offensive player's head off. But
Oh
that's okay.
God.
You know, that guy is
It's okay unless he got paralyzed.
he
or
is
whatever.
such a dirtbag. Like I can't stand that guy. You know, everything's just so funny with him. And like, remember when he did the drive by with his mom? That's hysterical. Like, he was shooting at people with his
that's
mom
great
driving.
stuff. Fun stuff.
I need to get over that. That was out of nowhere. Sorry.
That
So that was
extremely off guard right there. Yes.
so that was the Super Bowl. It is over. Peyton Manning should retire.
Put it in the books, bury it, and just forget about it. Because that was one of the worst ones we've had in a while, and we've been lucky because like the last 10 years we've had probably 60%, 70% good ones, and this was a little bit of a stinker. So it is what it is.
But in NFL news, moving on, I mean, we can't just sit there, perpetually in a state of just not moving with the Super Bowl. Marshawn Lynch pulling his best A-Rod in the middle of the sport's grandest stage, making it all about him, and tweeting out that he, I guess the picture made us realize that he is retiring. Anything to say about Marshawn Lynch?
I just is he going to reimburse the utility company for throwing those shoes up on the wire? That was really my biggest concern.
Those do cost money to bring those down. I mean, it's not a joke.
It was great that I'm glad you brought up your favorite baseball player of all time, A-Rod. But I did think the same thing earlier. I was driving home from work and I was thinking about the podcast and I was like, yeah, that is like a very A-Rod thing to do, like with the whole Red Sox winning the World Series and then him saying he was opting out and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it was, Marshawn, it's all about him. Like, it's a very much all about him scenario with him. And I wouldn't expect anything less from him, to be honest. And listen, I think it's a really scary trend you're seeing, like with Megatron saying he's going to retire and then this guy's retiring. Like, guys aren't. And you know what? Thankfully, to a certain regard, players are making more money per year now, where guys like that can afford to just be like, screw it, I don't need any more money, I have enough. And I'm thankful for that in a regard, because these guys are putting up they're sacrificing their lives to a certain extent. I mean, not
especially like with Talib
police,
ripping
not
people's
like
face
police
masks.
Or the army or anything like that, but or military rather, but they're putting up their livelihoods for the money, and thankfully they can make enough where they can live comfortable lives, hopefully, going forward. So that's great. It's like, screw it. No, he wants to do that. That's great.
You're totally right. And everything you said. Marshawn Lynch is a guy who tries to act like he doesn't care and doesn't want your attention. However, it's 100% the opposite. And I'll give him credit. He is a great marketer of that. His charade at the Super Bowl and just his general attitude that he does not care about attention, but he does. It's brilliant marketing. I have to give him credit there. But you bring up another point. You have stars retiring from the game of football saying, all right, I got, tens of millions of dollars here. I was not going to make this amount of money in any walk of life. Why am I going to get my head beat in? Why am I going to do this? So,
of course, and it's a scary scenario right now. Yeah. Like what, and see how it goes going forward. But I think that this is a little bit of a trend. I mean, I know Barry Sanders set this precedent. God, I'm aging myself, but I guess
he probably
10 or 15
was
years ago. 15 years ago,
he was probably upset having Wayne Fontes or whatever as his head coach for 10 years.
Wayne Fontes,
because that'll make anybody retire.
Of course, we're playing for the Detroit Lions. Exactly. It's also a factor in wanting to get the fuck out of football, right?
LeSean McCoy and two players that maybe don't want to get the fuck out of football. Johnny Manziel obviously has his own issues. Now, I saw today, we all know that apparently the report is that he hit his girlfriend, threatened to kill her, dragged her by the hair, and father thought he was suicidal. But today, I guess the report is that he hit her so hard that he ruptured her eardrum, and she had a temporary loss of hearing. And LeSean McCoy he hasn't been arrested yet, I don't believe, at the time of this podcast, but he is the focus of an investigation involving beating up two off-duty police officers. Do you get assault on a police officer if it's off-duty? Does that? I was wondering if that was. I don't know why they put that in there, but anyways,
I actually have experience with this.
Go for it. Okay, no, all right, kidding. Jesus.
I'm just kidding. But no, I was reading up about the McCoy thing, and I found it very curious that the one off-duty police officer drove himself to the hospital to be checked out rather than waiting for officials to come check it out. So I'm going to throw a little shade on this scenario.
Oh, Shady McCoy, if you will.
Yeah, I'm going to throw. Yeah, well, there you go. I didn't even do that intentionally, but yes, I'm going to throw a little shade on this and say maybe it wasn't all on the up and up. Like, I mean, it's Philadelphia. First of all,
That's true.
we all know what a dumpster fire that entire city is.
1,000%.
So there's that, and a police officer. So you're an off-duty police officer at 2:30 in the morning. You get into a fight at a bar, and then you drive yourself to the hospital. That part of it just doesn't jive with me. There's something that I just don't like about that. And, but McCoy, obviously, the old adage is nothing good happens after 2 a.m. And this is a perfect example of that, with that part of it.
Do we know if the off-duty police officer was in fact Chip Kelly moonlighting as an off-duty police officer? Possibly.
Well, no, Chip Kelly would have been at the local donut shop. So
or he actually would have been at the Super Bowl because he's probably not wanted anywhere in Philadelphia at this point right now.
Or at the Super Bowl or anywhere near a football field anywhere on the planet.
That's true. Point. Maybe Oregon. Maybe that's the only place.
Right.
And Manziel, what do you think about Johnny Manziel?
I think the young man needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sound like an old man here, even though he's like, 13 years younger than me. But yeah, the guy needs a lot of help. It's scary. Like, it literally is like, I see people, it's funny because I see people joking on Twitter about like Manziel, this and that, but it's like the guy's got some serious fucking issues. Like, it's not good. He really, like, talking about killing yourself and like this and that. Like, I remember like being that age and like I had some like enormous issues with like temper and like this and that, and like you're that age, you're like you don't understand yourself. You're not
right.
They talk about emotional intelligence. Like, he has no emotional intelligence, like, whatsoever.
No.
Like, and not to mention he's got an addiction problem. So it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not a good spot. And his father went out into the media and said, like, we're really worried about him. Like, there's a reason why the helicopter was out looking for him, because you got a guy running around there telling people he's going to kill himself. That's scary.
Right. No.
So, like, as much as it's a meme and it's like, people joke about it on Twitter, it's not a fucking joke. It's a mental health scenario. So
everything's a joke on Twitter. People just have to, they could have 50 people slaughtered, and the first person to come out with some sort of quick, funny meme or Vine will get retweeted 1,000 times.
Yeah, if Jesus was crucified, like, in 2016, it would be like, wow, fam, you should have been more careful not to disrespect us.
Seriously.
And it would be like, wow, isn't that so funny? He got nailed on the cross. That's great.
It'd be some shaky Vine of him being crucified and then like being like, yo, apostles, #chill.
Last supper, fam. Like, oh my God, give me a
how blasphemous are we? We're talking how social media would handle Jesus.
We just actually got our ticket punched straight to hell right now. Seriously. So we'll have fun together, though.
All right,
we'll
do a podcast from there. Live from Hades.
Yes. Wow, it's really hot in here.
Yeah. It's always hot in hell. You know how I know that? DMX told me that. It's dark and hell is hot. He said that right at the beginning. Wanted to jump into the University of a beautiful segue from hell to Louisville University and Rick Pitino, who, with some of his actions, sometimes he is devil-like. He has no emotions for other people.
Wow.
I guess except from his former scenes of an Italian restaurant when he I guess he had emotions for the woman that he knocked up in the bathroom, but.
Jesus Christ.
The guy, there's something about him that I really don't like. I don't know if it's the white suit. I don't know.
You just like him because he's Italian. So
you know what? You're painting me as a picture here as if I was that senator in Godfather 2. Or he's like, I don't care for your fucking masquerade or the way
you brought it up, not me.
Conduct your business. But we wouldn't even known anything about that affair in the bathroom, but except that the woman, he actually paid for her abortion. It was an abortion, Michael, an abortion. More Godfather.
Love it.
But anyways, that's the past. So we know his history. But what has happened now with the prostitutes serving recruits there? Of course, I know nothing. He knows nothing. He didn't know anything was going on in Minardi Hall, even though a year before he said he knew everything that happened in Minardi Hall. But now, hell, hands in the air, head in the sand, doesn't know shit. Now Louisville has imposed a self-imposed ban, meaning those players in the middle of a fucking season, number 13 in the country, will not play even after he has recruited Trey Lewis and Damian Lee graduate transfers. They don't get to do anything because Rick Pitino is a scumbag. Go ahead, Mark.
No. Yeah. Wow. How do I follow that up? Well, Rick Pitino is a scumbag. I'm just going to go with that narrative. No, you know what it is? It's a shady business. And this is why I don't follow college sports, because, I'm in the industry and I understand how expensive college is, and I understand how these are great opportunities for these young men and women who get scholarships. It's great. It's great to a certain extent, but if you think that there's not any time that this is something that I always say. It's like any time that you put money out there in any industry in any way, people are going to do shady things to try to acquire said money.
Right.
And with this situation, they're going to do shady things to acquire said players via said money. They're going to get at it with whatever it is. And you have the boosters, there's no way to really track it. But to think that Pitino didn't know what was going on is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
If you are out there thinking he doesn't know, Frances has kind of been dancing around it, where it's did he know? Did he not know? He freaking knew. Or he told somebody, go do what you need to do, and I don't want to know about it.
It's totally what Roy Williams at North Carolina is going through right now with their investigation. The idea that he didn't know anything about this academic scandal, anything going on. He either is a liar.
Get lost.
He's either a liar or he is completely oblivious. And like you said something like, I see nothing, I know nothing. Just make these players eligible. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's one of those two scenarios, and both of them are equally reprehensible and equally concerning to the whole thing. And this is a big reason why I don't deal with the college stuff, because it's just so they're just at the end of the day they're taking advantage of young men and women. Well, mostly men. I mean, let's be honest. But they're taking advantage of these people, and it's sad. But at the same time, they get a boost towards their future, and that's great. And obviously, these big programs now with Kentucky, one and done scenarios, and they like to just the NBA has kind of created that for themselves, or not even for themselves, but it's kind of like the one and done. When Kobe came in straight from high school, it was kind of wow, all right, well, and now they're just. It's just a ruse.
It's a stopping. It's a stopping port.
Do you know how easy it is to spend? If you're a one and done in college, you come in as an 18-year-old freshman. You go through your fall semester. All you need to do is maintain a 2.0 GPA to make it to the next level. Do you know what kind of stupid classes you could take to maintain a 2.0 GPA?
Yes, I was in those classes with D1 students, so I know how stupid those classes are.
You literally, if you show up and breathe, you're going to get a 2.0 and move on. And then guess what? The spring semester doesn't even matter because the tournament is over by the time you even finish your semester. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
It's like one and done. You guess what that one means? one semester of showing up to class, maybe maybe showing up. You might
Right.
not even need to show up. So whatever, it is what it is.
My
That's my
friend,
diatribe.
yeah, my friend worked in the. I believe if I've said this on the podcast before, I apologize. My friend worked in the administration at Syracuse.
You said that before.
Okay.
How dare you?
Okay, so we'll move on
How
to the next
dare
one.
you
Okay?
repeat
So
yourself?
let me say it again. He
No,
worked there
I'm
at
just kidding.
Syracuse.
Go ahead.
And
Just kidding.
Carmelo Anthony, his freshman year, just didn't go to class his second semester. I mean, he had no choice but to go pro. I mean, that was what he wanted to do all along, but he could not have come back with his grades. Second of all, I think I've mentioned where I'd gone to school here on the podcast, so I'm not going to say exactly some of the things I've seen in classes with basketball players, but I will tell you the preferential treatment is outrageous, and you would be disgusted. So we'll just put it at that. And I guess the last thing I want to say is the person that arranged all this, assistant coach Andre McGee, I believe his name is, former assistant coach of Louisville. No one knows where he is. No one's gotten one comment from him this entire time. Who knows if he even exists? Apparently, maybe it's a code name for Rick Pitino at this point because no one has heard a freaking word from Andre McGee. Anyone see him? He is completely MIA.
He got some hush money, and he's like on the lam somewhere.
Maybe they took part of Rick Pitino's $7 million a year contract and gave him some money and told him to. I think
maybe he's living next door to Henry Hill.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's possible.
Eating noodles with ketchup.
There you go. That's great reference.
So staying in basketball here, the New York Knicks made a change this morning, and fired head coach Derek Fisher, who. I didn't think he was walking that tightrope yet. I knew it was coming at some point, but I still thought even with this last losing streak with the Knicks that he was, still could maybe save his job. But he was saying erratic things lately, like we don't care if we, it's more about the process. It's not about the playoffs this year, which is borderline absurd because you are in the East and anything can happen. Some other quotes recently were, "We are searching for a win, but I think we are searching for what winners do in order to win." Whatever. We can go from 15 wins to 63 if we really want to, but that's up to us. And
oh my God.
I
didn't hear any of these.
Don't look at the end of the game. You got to look also at the first quarter. I mean, these are just crazy, insane things. So they made the change. Kurt Rambis is the interim head coach. Maybe he's wearing the goggles. Hope so. But hey, it was time for a change, apparently. I don't know if this was a player's revolt to get him out of there. Unfortunately, it brings them possibly one step closer to Isiah Thomas pulling the strings. I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I immediately thought of that because I'll tell you, he's behind the scenes there at all time. I don't give a shit what his role is with the Liberty. He's doing something with the Knicks. He's giving back rubs to Jim Dolan. He's doing something. So he's involved. So, Mark, the Knicks, do they have any shot going forward? Did they make the right decision by getting rid of Derek Fisher?
Well, you know what? At first I laughed at when you talked about the Isaiah stuff, but like, you're not. You know what? You got a freaking good point. Like, He's there, and Dolan obviously loves him enough to bring him back after all the bullshit.
In the words of Francesa, he's in the building.
He's in the building every day. And meanwhile, Phil Jackson is on a beach in fucking LA 90% of the time. Who knows? I don't even know the last time I heard Phil Jackson mentioned anywhere. So yeah, it's crazy. And so I just think it's just a misdirection franchise. Like the Knicks have been a misdirection franchise for a long time, and it's hard to think that they're going to actually do something smart going forward. Like it's just hard to think that.
I feel like
they're just going to do something else dumb. I mean, to me, if I'm not a big basketball guy, but I would say if I was them right now, I would sell off any reasonable parts for draft picks and maybe a couple of pieces that you think could work around Porzingis and Carmelo, and then move forward. Like, because Carmelo is probably not going to go anywhere unless you really made something beautiful for him, like where he's going to be winning a championship this year, like
Right.
sending him to Golden State. So yeah, I just think it's a mess.
He, they should ship him out of town, but the thing is, who is going to take Carmelo Anthony? He's a guy that is missing games frequently with a knee injury. He's 31 years old. He's changed his game this year. I'll give him credit. I'm someone that rips Carmelo Anthony all the time on this podcast, but he has changed his game this year. I've been watching more basketball.
I didn't realize I was on the Mike and Montclair podcast.
Well, let me tell you about the NBA, which I hate, but I watch every game. But I don't know what you're going to get for Carmelo Anthony, and they've signed Aaron Aflalo and Robin Lopez for a while, but everyone else, you're right. If they could just obtain draft picks somehow and create something, they have to create something about around Porzingis. He's 19 years old. They have a lot of time there. But it's not going to be this year. And I don't think Kurt Rambis is going to bring him to the promised land in the middle of a season. Derek Fisher leaves the New York Knicks with a 23-31 record this year and a all-time record with the Knicks of 40-96. That is a winning percentage below 300. So he probably never should have been there in the first place.
Bad job out of him, Mikey.
Yeah, bad job out of you, Phil. You can't hire a guy like that.
I just want to get one winning season. One.
You mentioned Carmelo going to Golden State. God, Matt, talk about destroying a team. Carmelo
I
Anthony
know. That was just a dumb thing I said because I'm not even a good Yankee, good baseball fan. Well, basketball fan, rather. I'm sorry.
You mentioned the Yankees. Let's get into Yankees real quick. Greg Bird.
I was looking at my list and I got distracted.
That's okay. It was a good segue. It was great. You messed it up. Shut up.
So edit that out. Okay.
Greg Bird. This isn't breaking news, but this is it's actually about a week and a half ago. He's out for the year, and I heard this conspiracy theory.
Wait a minute. Wait, he's out for the year?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Shut up.
No, I'm just kidding. Shut up. Shut up, Brian. We've talked about that on Twitter.
We talked about this. We sound like Phil Simpson.
On the Twitter.
We sound like Phil. We talked about this all week.
Listen, I had a lot of people texting me about this.
Yeah.
People were saying, "Oh, Bird," no, I was kidding.
I heard this conspiracy theory. I think it was the Bronx Pinstripes podcast that we've heard throughout the past few months that Greg Bird will start in the minors, regardless of how well he played.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But this is what this gentleman said, and I forget his name. It's Andrew Rotundi, I believe, on the Bronx Pinstripes, says, you know what? Maybe they knew that there was some sort of issue with the shoulder. So they said, hey, he's going to start in the minors. Worst case scenario is this. He's out for the year. And best case scenario, he rehabs even better, does well in spring training. And then it's sort of like a rebirth story where, he made the team, blood, guts, all that shit. But I mean, right now we have to rely on the fragile glass bones of Mark Teixeira. And I'll give him credit. Last year, he played with a friggin' broken leg after 3 MRIs from the Yankees confirmed that. But we can't rely on him. I'm not being mean. You can't rely on Mark Teixeira. So they bolstered their infield. They got Starlin Castro, and they also added. He doesn't play in the infield, but I'm just moving along here. Aroldis Chapman making a great bullpen.
He doesn't play infield?
No. He'd be hurting Mark.
That'd be great.
He'd be hurting Mark Teixeira's hands if he were making a third base or something like that. But
extra padding in the first baseman's glove.
Seriously. Right? So, what do you think? Again, this is just real quick with baseball. We'll get into more baseball going forward. What do you think about the Yankees going forward here as football's officially over, Mark? So we gotta start talking Yankees.
Let me just say I cannot freaking wait until baseball's here because I'm not a hockey basketball guy, and unless until May and June when it comes to the playoffs. So I'm 100% ready for the baseball season to start. And I said this to somebody earlier. I was like, I'm just basically stupidly crossing my fingers for this season for the Yankees. And Bird was great last season. I would have loved, if you told me in September, October, that Bird would have a spot on the team, I would have loved to have him with a spot on the team. But unfortunately, they're stuck with a $20 million first baseman who doesn't even understand how to stay on the field, and it's not his fault. It is what it is.
He has rickets. It's not his fault.
Well, yeah, he's probably got some kind of other old person disorder.
Or scurvy or
Which
something.
I talk about old person. And he's like 2 years older than me, which is really funny. But yeah, Teixeira is just perpetually hurt, and it is what it is. I really think the Yankees are kind of taking the approach, going back to what we were saying about the Knicks, where it's kind of like, don't do anything splashy right now. Let's just see how it goes, and that's I'm actually fine with that because they have so much money coming off the books like in the next
Yeah.
couple of
Oh,
years
yeah.
that I'm fine with it. Like I honestly, I would be fine if the Yankees finish third place next year. I really don't even care.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of like people who the Yankees have to win it every year. It's like they don't have to win it every year. And the last few years, leading up, I would say, leading up to when they won the last one in '09, everyone was like, oh, every year up until then, it was like, you have to win it every year. You have to win it every year. You have to sign as many people. They signed $500 million worth of contracts leading into that 2009 World Series. It was, Tex and Sabathia, and the third person is
AJ Burnett.
not. Yeah. So I'm not that big into like this idea like you got to win every fucking year.
People
like,
that say that are assholes. They're spoiled
no,
assholes.
I know. And
who think that every year, like you said, they deserve to win. Do you realize how fucking dumb that sounds? That you need to win the World Series every year. Do you realize that how unattainable that is? They've won 27 championships in the last 100-something. 75% of the time, they don't win a championship. Get over it. The world does not revolve around your team. And I'm a Yankee fan.
No, it's for stupid millennials who grew up watching them winning every year. Like, where they're like, oh, I'm 12 years old and the Yankees fucking won the World Series. And guess what? They won it the next year. This is fucking great. Like, shut up. You're not going to win it. And now it's even more so. Now that there's the tax and everything else, it's like, you're not winning it every year. Stop being dumb. Stop being dumb,
Yeah,
millennials.
Okay. I mean,
Get off my fucking lawn.
I'm in
no,
completely.
but no, but like that's my point. Is like, I want like I'm glad that the Yankees are embracing this like idea that you don't need to bring in the flashy free agent every year. But I'm just glad that they're not going to bring in Bryce Harper in 2019.
Yeah, we'll have to go over that when it happens. So just one more thing with baseball.
That was a little something for somebody. But anyway, go ahead.
I just wanted to say this one thing about baseball. We didn't talk about this, but when I was doing some work for the doing some research here for the podcast, I saw a baseball story here. Staying in baseball, Delman Young. We all know he hates people of Jewish faith. He does not like Cubans either. So on Sunday night, he was arrested in Miami and charged with misdemeanor battery. Here, among the details that Young were said to a valet at his Miami condominium, "Stupid Cuban, open the fucking door. I'm going to fucking kill you, you Latin piece of shit." Wow. He was then alleged to have reached over the valet podium, grabbing him with both hands around the neck for 5 to 6 seconds. And then later on, he said, "I will slap you in the face with money, you fucking Cuban." I guess he was quite drunk, just like he was a few years ago. I believe it was a doorman, or no, was it tourist?
Yeah, Manhattan.
Yeah, and it was something, I don't even know if the person was Jewish, but lots of anti-Semitic.
No, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Anti-Semitic terms. I mean, Delman Young has to, basically, if he's going to drink, he needs to stay in a four-cornered room. And just not talk to people, because he's obviously a menace to society. Anyone that doesn't look like him, apparently, is.
You know what it is? I blame the Jews and the Cubans. Really, is
what being in his presence,
for actually being there. It's
yeah.
Like, how dare you? I mean, this guy is a mediocre baseball player.
Seriously.
Like, leave him alone. No, I mean that's just ridiculous. What a moron! Like, if you're gonna. I mean, I defended Johnny a little bit, not a little bit. I defended him, but like I just kind of like this guy's obviously got a fucking problem. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you're out there just just assaulting people because of their race or their ethnicity or their religious beliefs. Like, what are you doing? Like, who does that? Like, does anybody wake up in the morning and think like, oh wow, like let me go mess up some people who are, it's like, I don't know. It's just dumb.
Here's another tip.
He's a real dumbass.
Yeah, here's another tip.
Real dumbass.
Another tip for Delman Young. If you don't like Cubans or Latin people, Miami is probably not the best place to reside in. You own a condominium there. Go somewhere else.
Yeah, not to mention Jews too. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, if you're in Miami, it's like, I want to move somewhere where I can really feel comfortable. It's like, Miami, not a good look for you if you don't like Jews or Cubans.
Exactly.
And all the love to Jews and Cubans, because those are
wrong with them.
Some of my favorite people.
It's just, but Delman Young doesn't like them.
Stop it already! It's like, what an idiot.
So, Mark, that's the podcast. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about, I don't know. What do you think? Anything?
I'm gonna go with my top 3. Francesa.
Oh yeah, that's right. You want to talk about? I did not think this over. So real quick,
wish list guests: Kanye West, Donald Trump, Brian Buckley.
Oh god,
that's my 3.
Get the fuck out of here. All right,
that's my 3.
Those
are my 3 favorite people that I want to have involved in the Francesa show.
You know what?
That was only because I showed you the love, because. Not only because you with Mike for like 20 minutes would be hilarious. It'd be great. You and Mike going back and forth on A-Rod would be tremendous. But Mike going back and forth with Kanye would be, and Trump would be freaking one of the funniest fucking things ever.
I think the Kanye one might. You all right there? What happened? Everything just fell apart.
Phone scenario here. Yeah, go ahead.
Kanye, I don't know how great that would be, because I could see him just sort of shutting down a la Cam Newton in the press conference after the Super Bowl. Donald Trump and Francesa would be great. 2 egomaniacs who have never been wrong in their own life.
No, Kanye is not an egomaniac.
Yeah, but I could see him just shutting down and not answering questions. That's Kanye? The only thing I could say. But
no, in studio, Kanye would actually kill it. It would be a great.
Okay, all right. And that last one,
because that's not your ultimate dream, and like to me, like that's the ultimate. That would be a good one. But I mean, look, I was in there with him, and it was like the ultimate. Like, I literally, like, my appearance with Mike was the fucking. It was winning the lottery times 10. And, so it'd be, that you and him in there would be a trip. It's funny stuff.
So, Mark, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And you can always follow Mark on @MarkMongo on Twitter. Mark, thank you very much.
All right, man. All the love.
So that was Mark. I hope everyone enjoyed it. It is the day after the Super Bowl podcast. Well, it's actually 2 days after, but you get the gist of it, so stop. Remember, you can always listen to the show on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, and follow me on Twitter @BrianBuck13 and @RedTicketBlues. Like the show on Facebook. It's on Instagram. I don't know how many people go to Instagram for this sort of stuff, but if you like Instagram, I feel like it's just a cheap version of just promote it, Brian. Hey, I'm on Instagram, Red Ticket Blues. So remember to not always, you only get one shot, but you can leave a review and leave a rating. 5 stars, obviously, for the podcast. And with all that being said, I'm mumbling. I'm out of here.